Just kidding. We don't need to burn anything down. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Nikola scored 100 points in 2 days because that's a normal thing that you do. The Nuggets blew out the Hawks on the back-to-back. Looked much more together. Russell Westbrook and Jokic play together. Jalen Pickett did things. We got lots to talk about. Locked on Nuggets. No jinx. Let's go.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making us your first listen. We do appreciate you guys being with us Monday through Friday. That's being an everydayer is what we call it around here. And joining us for all of our shows. We do shows Monday through Friday and bonus episodes after every Nuggets game, most every Nuggets game. If you did not, you should go back and listen to Ryan and I's episode after the Wizards loss, because one, it's not that it seems hyper reactionary, because it seems a little bit more in line with who they've been this season. Like, none of that is not true, but it is funny that it's like burn everything down, everything is terrible, and then like 18 hours later they blew out the Hawks. So you can listen to that one.
Yep.
And then come back for this one and feel much better. It's like you go through the depths of hell to come out on the other side. My name is Matt Moore. I'm senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by Ryan Blackburn of Mile High Sports. You can catch him over there and on the Pickaxe and Roll podcast. He does post-game articles every single game over at Mile High Sports. I have a new article over at thedenverdig.com. Just go to thedenverdig.com that talks about like why the Nuggets can't do the whole pity party, we're letting Jokic down, and why that will not work, and why they actually need to like play for one another. So you can go read that over at my site. Also, I want to let you know that today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. I am under the weather, and I don't know how long my throat's going to hold out. So we're going to see how long this goes. Hurricane, no comments. Ryan, go to youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets. We flew past 8,000 subscribers and are screaming towards 9. Yeah. So don't be late. Go get in there. Hit the like and subscribe button. Appreciate you guys joining us. All right. So Ryan, they get the win versus the Hawks.
User.
Jokic scores in this one because this is just, light work. 48 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, only 8 assists. Slacker. Wow. 3 steals, by the way. He is 17 of 29 from the field. We talked about like how 28 on 24 was not good efficiency. How's 48 on 29 shots? Got to the line for 13. 3 of 6 from 3-point range. He continues his hot shooting from 3. He was incredible, but the whole team played together. They played with more verve. They put the foot down immediately. This was like exactly what you wanted to see after that debacle that one person I know of that thought of it as despicable performance versus the Wizards.
Yeah, and look, it's going to take a while, I think, to sort of wash that loss out of the mouths for everybody. Like, it's just that's going to stick around for a little bit. That's going to be a tough one, but this is a good sign. I threw up that comment from Grace earlier that this was a professional victory from the Nuggets. It felt very professional. And that was the word that I said on several occasions in this last show that we did, that the Nuggets did not look and play very professional in that particular game. And one thing that really came from that we talked about towards the end of was Jokic kind of called out the team a little bit, said a lot of words. There were a lot of things. There were talk about benching, talk about money, talk about things of that nature. You would never question whether he was going to bring it after those kinds of statements, because it's just not something that you say and then don't back up yourself. He was a very good, I think, leader by example in this game tonight. He was just ridiculous. The shots that he was making were incredible. The buzzer beater from half court, because, that's just what somebody does. The pull up from 45 feet over the top of a center for nothing but the bottom. It was an incredible game. And the stretch that Jokic is on in these last 2, really the last 3 with 27, 20, and 11 kind of sprinkled in there. Just an unbelievable stretch that we're seeing from Nikola right now, and what is an unbelievable season.
What's funny is Capella used to give him problems.
Yeah.
The Nuggets actually tanked out of a spot to avoid the Rockets in one of their playoff runs. And
they traded 3 young guys to get Capella out of the conference. Matt.
Well, they traded the young guys because they couldn't pay them.
Fair. But it was a nice little byproduct of it.
It was, but they were very happy to be included in a trade that sent Capella to the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
So I thought it was an incredible performance. The pull-up 3, I do want to note, like, that's not like a heave, right? Like, he literally, like, he dribbles up with full intent and he's in full shooting motion. He just hits it. One of the most fun things to do, if you have League Pass, go listen to these Nuggets games after they're available and listen to the opposing announced teams, because Bob Rathburn, who's a legend on League Pass, was just like, it was another broadcast team that was just in awe.
Yeah.
They're like, what can't he do? You know, and they're not infuriated by him. They're not disgusted by him. They're just like, this guy is so amazing. He's so good at everything.
Dominique, man. Like, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, just Dominique, man. Like Dominique Wilkins as well, just on that broadcast where and I saw this point being made, he's seen greatness throughout his time. He's been up, he's rubbed elbows up against greatness for many years of his career, both as a player and as an announcer. And he was just like, it was unfathomable for him to see what Jokic was doing. And he just like said it, he made it look so easy. And these shots aren't easy that what Jokic is doing. And I really want to hammer home the point that on a night or just after where Jokic called out the team, you better lead by example in those moments. You better bring it yourself. And he did. And just the way that he has approached this thing, it finally, like, some of those things probably needed to be said ultimately, just to kind of say, hey, this is not okay. But you can't put the team on blast and then not do it. So I'm really impressed with the way that he's comported himself.
I think it is another step forward for him, as he's become more of a leader. And I wrote about what it's been like covering him over at the Dig, and like he's always been so reluctant to identify as the best player, and he's always like, even the championship season, he's like, well, Jamal's our best player, and it's like, come on, man, stop it.
Yeah.
And so for him to actually kind of be like, guys, you can't do this. Like, this is not okay. There's a certain amount where I think it's good for him to do that, for him to not just be like, no, it's okay, guys. Like, it's all right. Like, sure, I scored. No, it should be like, guys, I scored 50 points and we lost.
Yeah.
Like, this can't happen. We can't lose to the Wizards when I score 50. And then like setting that bar, I think is really good. You mentioned the second about the leadership by example. I asked Ty Lue about leadership by example, who's like the leader on his team now, after with Kawhi out and PG gone. He was like, he's like, it really is James. He's like, I know people won't believe that. He was like, but the leadership by example of how hard he works really does kind of set it. And I was like, I wanted to follow up. I was like, you've played. I was like, the leadership by example really worked. He's like, you have to. And I was surprised to hear that, because I'm of the opinion, like, you need somebody to be very vocal and actually be like, guys, like, this is what, like, the message, right? But one thing that Lou said that really got to me is, if it's not leadership by example, then it's just talk. And it's got to be done by one of the top guys, because you have to have somebody that the other guys can look to as he's doing his job and being great. I've got to be great at my job.
This is sort of the byproduct, by the way, of, hey, Jamal's not been good enough to really talk that talk, to lead by example in that regard for this season. He was a guy that Denver would turn to in these particular low points as saying, I'm going to will the team back. I'm going to be the heartbeat that sort of gets everybody back. And now it's just, I know it's kind of another, it's another thing that Joker sort of has to take on. But again, heavy is the head that wears the crown, and he is wearing it really, really well through this moment.
Aaron Gordon comes back tonight. Only plays 22 minutes. 1 of 6 from the field and 6 points, which makes it all the more impressive they were able to dominate the way that they did. On the other side, I want to talk about Russell Westbrook and what he's brought to the Nuggets and how good he was tonight. And we're going to ask this question of not if, but like, what if Russ started? Let's talk about that question next here on Locked On Nuggets. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. There are so many times when those deals change on you, and I've been there where I've signed up for things and thought I was getting one deal and you don't, and you're never going to get that with Mint Mobile. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. You can ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. $40.5 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower than 40 gigabyte on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making this part of your day. Russell Westbrook tonight in the win. Oh, by the way, go to lockedondaily.com. It's our daily newsletter. You get newsletters from me and Ryan. We do them after every game, and we do them all every Monday through Friday. You get a daily newsletter covering what's going on in the league. Mike Shearer from Basketball Poetry does some writing for him, and it's awesome. Katie Heindel does them for Basketball Feelings. She's great. You're going to read it and really enjoy it. So go check out lockedondaily.com and sign up for the Locked On Nuggets newsletter. Russell Westbrook in the win. 9 points, 4 of 6 shooting. Didn't shoot a lot. 1 of 3 from 3-point range. 11 dimes, 2 steals and a block, 4 turnovers, and a plus 12. Russ and Jokic. There's 2 things that I like about Russ's minutes with Nikola. And one is Jokic is going to get the ball constantly. There's always a little bit of give and take where if a guy has the ball in the perimeter and he's trying to feed Jokic, one, he's got to be able to make the entry pass.
Yeah.
And then 2, if Jokic feeds him back, there's like this, I better shoot because he passed it to me, so I should shoot it now. And because you don't want to just constantly be just dropping the ball back to him. Russ has a really great feeling of, no, you kicked it back to me, but you just shifted and defense has moved. I'm moving it back to you. Russ resets him constantly. His pocket passes are awesome to him. Now, that's not an area Jamal struggles at. Jamal and Nikola have had in the past the best 2-man game in the league. We thought that up until Game 7 last year, right? So that's not a weakness, but it is a real strength with Russ, and his defense continues to be really impressive. Give me your thoughts on Russell Westbrook right now through where we're at in the season and about what you've seen, especially when Russ has been starting.
Yeah, so as you know, I've had to work through my preconceived notions of Russell Westbrook throughout his career. I've had to, sort of update my takes and update my perspective and try to come into it with an open mind and not be looking actively for the bad stuff as opposed to just absorbing what is good and understanding and trying to make an accurate assessment. Russ played great tonight. There's no question about it. And one of the things that really stands out, especially in these last 2 games where Joker's just feasting on offense right now, the slider for passing for Russ is turned all the way up to 100. It is he is actively looking for it over and over and over again. He is going to force feed it. He is going to punish you. He is going to get the ball to where it needs to go. The fact that he doesn't have more turnovers while doing that is really impressive because he's accurately doing it and getting the ball to the best player in the world over and over and over again when the defense knows exactly what he wants to do, and he's doing it anyway. And on the defensive end, obviously, he is a massive upgrade over Jamal Murray right now. Like, Jamal can have some moments. He can be in the passing lanes a little bit. He's a stronger post defender. Not necessarily just than Russ, but like just a good post defender in general. But I do think that Russ and the activity and the willingness to fly around and to go make a play is really important for this defense right now, because they just needed somebody who gave a darn. Like, and just, it's not just over Jamal specifically, but just somebody out there who's going to muck some things up, because Christian's more of a traditional hands away from the basketball kind of defender. He's going to try to avoid making mistakes. Russ is okay making mistakes as long as he makes some plays. They needed a gambler. They needed somebody who could be physical, who could get into you. KCP did a lot of that last year, obviously, and it worked out really well. So Denver's needed that, and he shut down Trae Young in a big way tonight. So really impressed with the way that Russ has handled this, and he is another leader for the Nuggets, another player that the Nuggets respect. And it wouldn't surprise me if he continues to have his role grow on the team as opposed to diminish.
I feel very strongly like you are basically like it was a very eloquent take, and we should clip that later.
Yeah.
You also just basically called Russell Westbrook a tryhard. That's like a little.
He is trying hard. That's a great thing, man.
A little bit of what you did.
Okay, I didn't mean to. He is an extremely talented passer. And
I want to note this because like there's this idea. So we're gonna hear about this a lot more with Jamal struggling. Sammy G says, "Is it crazy to say I think the team would work better with Russ as the starting point guard? Better defense and makes Yoke better." So here's the numbers. Like, this is the cold hard fact. When Nikola and Jamal Murray are on the floor and Russell Westbrook is off, they beat teams by 13 points per 100 possessions. That's phenomenal. When Russ is on the court next to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray is off, they beat opponents by 1.5 points per possession. That's fine. That's okay. Right? It's not great. The bigger thing is and with Russ and Nikola and Jamal, they win by 5.9.
Interesting.
Now, if you want to throw in here of like the idea of like, well, maybe Russ and Jamal could start. Well, no, because you can't do that because Christian is the other element of this, and he's a big reason why they wind up winning those minutes too, because Russ and Nikola and Christian is a +5. And so Russ, Nikola, and Jamal without Christian is a -7.3. Wah, wah. So
they can't defend with that group otherwise. They need Christian out there too.
Right. And the other thing I will say, somebody mentioned this about the playoffs, and they're right. You can't start Russ in a playoff series. I've covered Russell Westbrook's entire career. He has been one of my favorite players since he was drafted. And his Thunder days are the early Thunder days, like 14, are forgotten for how amazing he was. Where I was at CBS Sports making the argument that Russ was the MVP over Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Not for his team, in the league. That's how good he was. But if you play him now, teams are going to leave him wide open, and they're going to dare him to shoot, and it will not work. Like, Russ needs to be a bit player that is used as a utility guy in certain matchups, in certain situations. And the minute the teams find a way to neutralize him with his spacing, you have to be able to go away from it. So I get it, because Russ has played with more heart this season. He's played with more hustle. He's a better defender. And he does... I genuinely love the chemistry between him and Nikola. They find each other in the right ways and have like a very similar sense of how to navigate pick and roll situations and cuts. But big picture, Russ cannot be the answer for you if you're trying to win a title. He just can't be.
Russ is shooting, before tonight, Russ was shooting 57% from 3 in the corners.
Yep.
Like just incredible. And like, he deserves a lot of credit for that. And he's talked about, and others have talked about, how he's reworked his shooting form. He's trying to get away from the idea that he can't be a shooter, and just trying to take them with confidence. And he has taken them with confidence this year. I just don't expect that to continue because it would go against everything that I believe as a basketball analyst, that like he has been a bad shooter for his entire career, and to start doing it in year 17, like especially when it counts in April, May, and June, I would just be shocked. Now, I'm not ruling it out, and like Russ fans, don't come at me because like I want it to happen. Of course I do. But I just have seen Joker and Jamal get through these moments together for a long time, like 7 years in their careers. And there's still an element to me that wants to see them fail with that if it happens. But it's also the money thing, right?
It's the money thing, but it's also, I mean, one, if you were to replace Jamal, you'd lose him. Like you just would. And if you're like, well, then you lose him. You cannot tell that to Stan Kroenke, who just shelled out $500 million for him.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't do that. Okay. Like we have to live in the real world. Exquisite says, what happens if Russ starts shooting the lights out? If it happens and they have to try it and it works, then that's an amazing story. I am going off of what I have seen with him with the Clippers. I really discount the Lakers. He got screwed there. With the Wizards, with the Rockets, and with OKC. This is the other thing is, like, Jamal's having a bad 6 months. Like, that's what we're really talking about here. 7 now. And if you're like, that's a long time. It is. He just hasn't played a lot of games in there. He just hasn't. We have 7 years of his career prior to that. We have all of 15 years of Russ's career of him not being a shooter. And there's been no he's become a better, there was none of that. There was none of that conversation.
Yeah.
And if it happens, then that changes conversation. Like, it does change conversations. Like, if Russell Westbrook is a 40% shooter now, then yeah. Okay. All right. Reevaluate.
If it continues like this, I'm willing to listen to the idea of it. I'm willing to listen because it is just too valuable to Jokic and Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon in this particular season that they obviously can't waste a year if Jamal doesn't get back to where he needs to be. They can't waste it. It can't happen again. But I kind of think it will get a little bit better. I don't think it will get a lot better, though.
Can the Nuggets use Russ as a screener like Draymond if he isn't guard on the perimeter? Yes, and they do. Mm-hmm. They've used him a lot, and that's how they've gotten a lot of those slip dunks for him. The problem is if you were to put him in the starting lineup, you'd have to take out either, like, Christian can't come out. Can't. Okay? So if Christian can't come out, it's got to be either Porter or Gordon. So the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want 2 non-shooters on the floor with where Jamal is at, mind you, or do you want a non-defender on the floor? Right? So it's either, now Aaron's shooting well too, so maybe that's like the answer here. Like, I don't mind that lineup if Gordon's shooting well, but like there has to be like a reasonableness about, I think, the expectations about it. I almost says, when do we say enough with Jamal? Okay, I'm gonna just let's Ryan. I know you don't want to talk about it every episode, but I'm going to, because we're gonna beat this into everybody's head. Jamal Murray just signed a max extension. He is not eligible to be traded until this summer. You are not going to take a player that you signed to a max extension after he won you a championship and then not play him. So Jamal's going to start. Jamal's going to play. He's not eligible to be traded. He's not going anywhere. You can move on. If you want to revisit it this summer, we can do that. But there is no reason to be like, we've had enough with Murray. There's nowhere to put him or nowhere to go.
Yeah.
You have to hope he gets his head on straight and starts playing better. That's it.
Yeah. And like, they can work with him on that. It doesn't have to be just like, hey, it's either you play well or you're benched the entire time. That's just your opinion, man.
Yep. All right. Matt's answer is, what if all the Nuggets start shooting well? That's yes. What if all the Nuggets start shooting well? What if everyone shoots well? Yeah, this was a really good win, though. This was a really great win. On the other side, Jalen Pickett had his best game as an NBA player, bringing his total number of great games as an NBA player to 1. We will talk about that. Plus, we will talk about the rest of the contributions from the team and a good win over the Hawks. Up next here on Locked On Nuggets. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. There's this one team in the NFL that if you just bet them to win but not cover, you will do absolutely amazing. It's really incredible. They just keep winning games despite not covering. I've never seen anything like it. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Welcome back to Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making this part of your day. Make sure to go to youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets, hit the little like and subscribe button, join the revolution. We've added like literally, I think 1,500. Swipa's in here. Hey, Swipa. How's it going? 9 times in a row, by the way. Not 9. 9 times in a row. It's a fun number. Not as good as 16, but it's a good number. Go to the LockedOnDaily.com. And you can sign up for our newsletter every day. Great stuff there. Okay. Jalen Pickett was really good tonight. Yeah. So there are those that Bennett Durando was one of these. Like Mahrez thought Pickett played well in the Wizards game, and I'm not surprised because like if Pickett just like ties his shoelaces, Adam's going to be like, "Hey!" But like Bennett really thought that he played well. I didn't because I was like, "Look, you have to be able to produce like something more than 2 assists. Like the passes can be zippy." But you got to be able to like exert your will on it and actually drive a little bit to create it. And I didn't think he did much of anything. In this one, he was great. Not only with the pull-up 3, and not only like he ran a pick and roll with DeAndre Jordan. Like for the love of God, just someone run pick and roll with DeAndre and throw a lob. Like, please. It's such a simple mechanism. DeAndre can still do it. It's him turning. It's him standing, taking 4 steps, and then jumping up toward the rim. DeAndre can still do that. That's about all he can do, but he can still do that.
Don't pass him the ball on the ground. Pass him the ball in the air.
In the air.
In the air.
And he can do that. He can still jump. And it worked really well. And I thought Pickett was just really engaged and had like real control. He looked like so much more of a comfortable point guard tonight. I'm going to be skeptical, guys, because we got, again, like, this is not even like, I can have my assessment of things. But when I talk to people in the organization, they're like, yeah, the Summer League went about as badly as it could. But that's gonna influence how I look at the player. But lots of guys have had bad summer leagues and then turn their career around. So Ryan, what did you see from Jalen Pickett tonight?
I saw a guy who has had bad moments in the past of not trying stuff and just started to try stuff again. There were a couple of moments, especially in that third quarter, where Joker and he were working together. And Joker just kept giving him the ball. Like, hey, it's your time. Come on. Like, let's go. You're in here for a reason. Let's get this going. And he ran a pick and roll. He got the ball to Jokic. He got the ball on a pull-up 2. And I think that was a really nice pick and roll with Joker. Just got to a spot, hit a shot. It looked very clean. Nothing but the bottom. And then he, in the fourth quarter, hits a pull-up with, I think, a Onyeka Okongwu on him, where you get a guy switched out on you as a big, and he gives you too much room. Trust your shot. You're a shooter. You can shoot. You've been shooting. So this is a guy who, for one reason or another, has not had things work out in the NBA for him so far. It can either kill him. It can either put him into a place where he never wants to try anything ever again, or he just says, you know what, screw it. I've got this opportunity. Jamal's going to come back at some point. Let me play. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? I get benched again? What's the worst thing that can happen? So you might as well just go out and play, man. And like Denver, they just lost to the Wizards. They're looking for anything. So like, you might as well just try stuff. And I think that's probably the message that he got from the team.
Julian Stratho, 13 points tonight and 5 of 6 shooting, 3 of 4 from 3. He was a -2. But that's honestly fine. Like, Julian's finding his offensive side. The defense is going to be a long-term project, and it's going to be rough on the defensive side. But I've liked what I've seen from Julian in the last 5-6 games or so.
Yeah, I mean, he also has made some good plays over the course of this stretch too. Like it's not like he isn't a lost cause on that end. I'm not gonna sit here and say that he can't do stuff. And they need his shooting. They need it on volume. Denver only took 27 threes tonight, particularly because Jokic was dominating the interior and they started Russell Westbrook, and Michael Porter decided, hey, we should probably talk about Mike too. Like 20 plus points in the paint tonight. Like he just was back cutting to oblivion and dominating everybody physically. That was kind of interesting, but like this Nuggets team is a 2-point shooting team. So they have to have some 3-point shooting guys.
I was going to say there was a comment in here. Oh, Dejan notes, guys are still watching the ball instead of rebounding. So frustrating. There was that sequence where like everyone just like stood around while Dyson Daniels dove on the floor for the ball. But I am going to tell you, like, guys, this was a second night of a back-to-back in Atlanta, like Magic City, as some call it. So, like, it's fine. Like, and also, I'll also kind of point this out. The question you have to ask yourself, because MPJ was one of the guys standing there. Do you want Michael Porter Jr. with 3 back surgeries diving for the loose ball? I don't.
I do not.
Nope. There's guys that I think should.
Yeah.
Christian Brown, go for it.
And he has. Like, he certainly has. Like he can't do it every single time. He's got to survive a season in order to play. Right. And so these are the business decisions that you make throughout a year. It just happens.
And Russell do it because he's an absolutely athletic, like super freak.
Yeah.
You know, he's incredible, but got to be there. V says not diving, no. Boxing out, yes. Well, look, let's talk about Porter. Porter had 26 points on 12-17 shooting, 7 boards, 3 assists. And I thought he was I just thought he was good tonight. He was really good. Like, didn't get beat on all those back cuts. Hawks probably didn't run enough of that in order to kind of take advantage of him, like the Wizards did. But like, I genuinely, I thought Porter played with a lot of heart tonight. He played hard. Yeah. That play accepted. I thought Porter played hard.
If we're going to box score watch a little bit, Russ had 1 defensive rebound, but he was mostly contesting Trae Young on the perimeter. Aaron Gordon had 2, but he's also coming back from an injury, and you don't necessarily want him diving on the floor. So I get it. This was always kind of going to happen.
Listen, one, go to bed, old man. But no, Swiper says, notice how these media tycoons didn't mention MPJ. I was getting to it. I was getting there.
His monocle and his top hat, like this is a tycoon for you.
we don't have to preview another game because they're not going to play until like 4 weeks from now. Like they have 5 days off. Is that right?
Yeah, but now I've just got the vision of Swipe of the Oil Baron in my head. That's good.
Okay, does this get you off the ledge?
No. I think that it is important to. I think it's important to take this one for what it was. This was a first step in a long recovery, as opposed to anything else. And look, I've had my own recovery stuff. I've had plenty of bad habits that I've tried to break, and then I slip up, and sometimes you just like something just looks really good to you, and you don't necessarily give yourself the best chance to succeed by doing it every single day. This is a process that's going to take every single day to get back on track. And it's not just the loss to the Wizards. That was the culmination of a bunch of things that we've seen up until that point. But there are going to be some moments, and we've talked about championship habits before. This is the time where you got to start like grinding it out. You have to start building it, and you build the foundation. You don't build it from the top down. Like, you have to start from the bottom.
Gray says now everyone's going to ask about Ryan's vices.
It's just food, folks. Everybody understands. I'm a big guy. It's just food.
That's code for heroin, actually.
Yeah.
But all right, so I think, look, this can be the moment. This, like, the Wizards game can be the moment, right? Season on the brink. They pull it back. Like, this can be the moment that is in the book later. It can be that for them. It's up to them. They get to make that decision. All right. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us here on Locked On Nuggets. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Swipe will have a show for you on Tuesday, and no Jinx on Wednesday, and then swipe again on Thursday, and then we'll do swipe. I'm just gonna calling it swipe versus gripe on Friday, and then we'll do post game after the Clippers game. I'll drag Ryan on because, well, nothing Ryan likes to do than talk about the Clippers. So
God, Jesus,
we'll talk about all this.
Trying to get me back to my vices, man.
We'll cover everything going on with the Nuggets. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button. We'll see you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets.